What is this place?
The best crooks and criminals live here.
You're a wanted criminal?
You sound surprised. Is it surprising?
Kung Fu Panda 4. I've got to say, I have always had a fascination and appreciation for the Kung Fu Panda universe. Eastern themes, the animals, it's a very cute trilogy of movies that has now been burdened with a fourth installment. I just saw like the last two movies a couple of weeks ago with my girlfriend, and I absolutely loved them. I could have done without the third movie, but I really liked the second one more than the first. I loved the humor.
Dinner with peas in a sesame soy glaze.
It had some good charms to it. However, with this movie, it didn't feel like it was a Kung Fu Panda movie. Of course, it had Jack Black. He did all the Jack Black things. He is a legendary voice actor, in my opinion.
Being the Dragon Warrior, it's who I am. Skadoosh.
However, it just kind of feels like they're getting a lot of these big-time actors, these big-time names, to be voice actors. Awkwafina's character just kind of came off annoying. She had a little too much dialogue, and I know I'm kind of diving into this just straight away, but I've got to say, the Fox character, an interesting design, a unique premise, but the way that it was introduced to the audience was just a big red flag, in my opinion.
Who's that?
The most powerful shape-shifting sorceress, the chameleon.
I wanted to see the Furious Five. I wanted to see more of the world that was pre-established from the first three movies. However, in this film, we kind of venture out to the city. And it's once we arrive to the city is when the plot finally starts to take shape. Po is becoming a spiritual leader, and he is looking for the next Dragon Warrior, and he's on one last mission to save the world from the chameleon, a shape-shifting sorceress who is trying to steal a kung fu of past nemesi, or just villains in general that Po has faced against in the past. That leads to Po attempting to stop her from taking over the world. And that's it.
No one will dare question my power.
Not even the great Dragon Warrior.
The villain just wants to take over the world. Why? Who cares? Who knows? At least with the past villains of the Kung Fu Panda universe, they had some sort of tie-in to Po and his life. But in this movie, again, it's just like, yeah, there's a villain who wants to take over the world. Po, go get her. And that's that. Otherwise, Fox, played by Awkwafina, she is the main character, the MC, and it's not really an interesting experience. There's not really anything new to tell with this story. In fact, Po has been sidelined as a B character almost. All the plot momentum shifts in the direction of the Fox. And when you think about the theme, the overall message of this movie, it does make sense. And I do think it is a smart decision to make Po on the back line. And just to clarify, in no way is Po actually a side character. However, when compared to the thematics of the movie and how it applies to Fox of all characters, it just kind of feels like, why is Po even here? Why are we telling this story in the first place? Kids, they're definitely going to enjoy this movie. They're not going to think about it for too long. They're going to appreciate the animation. They're going to get sucked in by all the bright visuals. Yeah, it's a fun, dumb movie for kids, but those kinds of movies can also be created for adults, which is why I still, as an adult, love the first three movies. The first two especially more so than the third, but that's neither here nor there. It's still a good trilogy, and now there's a fourth movie that just kind of adds a little too much weight to one side. In fact, there is a gimmick in this movie about a bar being on top of a mountainside, and it falls over if there's too much weight applied to it. It's kind of silly that I can make that kind of analogy within this movie about the first three movies and this one, and it makes you think heavily about the plot, the B plot especially, involving both of Po's parents. You don't really know why they're doing what they're doing, especially since in the third movie, they kind of cleared all of that up between Po and his two dads, but then they kind of reintroduced that into this movie for the sake of adding them into the plot, maybe to have some familiar faces, because again, they don't have the Furious Five in this movie. Even Master Shifu, he doesn't get a lot of screen time. It's mostly just Po, the Fox, and a bunch of other B characters that you don't really care about to establish their characters when they absolutely could have by discarding the B plot and focusing on these new characters if that's truly what they wanted to do. But it really didn't seem like the filmmakers here knew exactly what this movie was supposed to be. Because there is a message, I have mentioned that, and that regards Po kind of being sidelined. And again, I like that, there's a way to do that, but the way this movie proceeds with it just kind of fumbles. It introduces us to the message at the beginning of the movie. 75 to 85% of this movie, like continuously, we don't see that message and we don't get any emphasis on that message until it kind of comes back, it circles back and says, oh yeah, we should probably reintroduce that plot line. And you could argue as a viewer, yes, these two characters, Fox and Po, they need to bond to make all of that happen. The fact of the matter is that they don't ever address it. And it's just a huge step backwards for the thematics that is Kung Fu Panda. Yes, a kid's show, a cartoon, a 3D animation. You kind of have to wonder, why did they have to sacrifice the spirit of the first three movies? You know how Sony has to make a Spider-Man movie every so often in order to keep the rights? This is what that felt like. This movie is in fact watchable, unlike Madam Web. But I've got to say, in comparison to the first three movies, this one just kind of falls off the edge. And if this is the last Kung Fu Panda movie, I'm gonna be a little upset because it went out on a whimper.
Stand back. I'm gonna kick my butt.
Trust me, I too am also appalled by Hollywood taking all of these nostalgic properties, rehashing them into some kind of commercial corporate entity, and it's just kind of disgusting to me. My God, if they make a Shrek movie in this vein, I am going to be absolutely disappointed. It wasn't that long ago that we saw Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, a movie with a ton of spirit, a lot of fun, and some great animation. This movie, it's just great animation. Even the jokes fall flat. There is a joke in this movie about drunk driving, and I am not one to be triggered by anything that is like dark humor. I am actually on board with that, as long as it's smartly written and incorporated in a really good way into the story. But the way this drunk driving joke was just thrown into the plot just haphazardly, and it's not funny. And if you're telling a joke that's not funny about a dark topic, it's gonna take the viewer out of the movie. So yeah, it's even unfortunate to say that the legendary voice actor himself, Jack Black, the legendary artist, musician, everything. He's a very talented, funny, charismatic guy, but not even he could save this movie from the amount of tropes that this film is plagued with.
Violence makes our tummies tingle.
This movie is just not good, and I'm very, very disappointed. Kung Fu Panda 4, I wanted to love this movie, but I just cannot recommend anyone go check this out and pay full price for it at the theater. If you guys want to watch Kung Fu Panda, there are 3 other movies out there for you guys to go and check out. If you guys found some value in today's video, or if you guys enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews in the future, or you can click somewhere on the screen for another movie review by yours truly. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Austin out.